Let us start with the day 2 of the training. Over here, we'll be starting off with object-oriented programming. Okay. So, oops, it's the backbone of Selenium. Okay, and I'll just create a new package now under the source folder. Okay, this was day 1, and I'll create a new package known as day 2, and we'll check out the concepts of object-oriented programming, that objects are, and somehow how they are used in Selenium as well. Okay, so out here, let me just create a new class and name that class as city. This is a city class. All right, and the city class is empty. There is nothing inside it, no main function as well. If a class is not having the main function, then obviously it cannot be executed. Okay, you can run only those classes which have the main function. For example, in day 1, Java Basics, I had this main function, but this city class is empty. So you can also create classes like this, empty, but you cannot run them. Okay, now what are the properties of a city? Okay, what are the properties of city? Right. Just confirming, are you guys able to hear me? Right. So city has population. Okay. City will also have name. So name and population are two properties of the city class. Okay. Right. And what I'll do is that I'll create a new class known as test city. And this class, I will have the main function, and I will create something known as, I will do something known as creating object of city class. Okay, right. I'll create the object of the city class over here. How do you create the object of a class? You just write over here new city. Now, what do you mean by this? What happens in the memory when you create the object of a class? All right. You open MS Paint. Okay. The object of the city class is created like this. Okay. And in this, you have the properties like name and population. So name and population are the two properties of the city class. All right, fine. But these properties in the object, you cannot access them. Access them, you need to have object reference. You need to write like this: city C1 equals to new city. So C1 will become C1 will become the object reference which will point towards the city. Okay, C1 becomes the object reference which points towards the city object. Okay, and with C1 you can change the state of the. You can write over here that C1 dot, the city name is say London, right? And C1 dot population is, you can put some number. So you write dot and you will be able to access the properties inside the city class. Okay, with C1 you can access the population. Right, similarly you can create another object, city C2 equals to new city. Object and object references, they are different. Object references point towards the object and they can change the state of the object. I can create one more object, okay, with the same properties, name and population. All right, and C2 points towards that. Okay, with C2 you can change the state. You can write C2 dot name is, say you can name any other city, right? Okay, and the population, something like this. All right, so there are two different objects of the same class and two different objects have the different properties. Okay, this is the London city and this is the Delhi city. Okay, and you can print it as well, c1 dot name and c2 dot name. You can print both of them and when you run this, it will see it is printing, right? Okay, but majorly what I want to tell you is that object is different and object reference is different. All right. Okay. On right over here, C1 equals to C2. Now what will happen if you write this line? Then in the memory, C1 will not point towards this object. It will point towards the same object to which C2 is pointing. Okay. Two references can point towards one object and they can change the state of the object. All right. So if I print the same thing now, after writing C1 equals to C2, if I print the same thing and I run the program, then you will see that it will be printing Delhi for both of the objects because C1 and C2 point towards the same object. Okay. And if I change the name, if I write C1 dot name is any other city and I print it again, then for both C1 and C2, it's going to print Beijing because C1 and C2 are pointing towards the same object. If say C1 will change the name from Delhi to Beijing, then C2 can access the updated. So objects are different and object references are different. This is very important thing. Okay, the object reference connects to the object in the memory. All right. So this was first thing about objects. Okay. Though the city class, if you look at it, it's just got name and population. But by creating different objects of this class, I can assign every object a different value of name and population. Okay. Right. Now, I can also have functions. Print details. Okay. Print city details. And inside it, I will just print the name of the city followed by the population. Okay, the plus is a concatenator operator. It can concatenate a string with a variable. Okay, this name is a variable and population is a variable. With the help of plus operator, you can concatenate both the variables name and population. All right, and this print city details function there inside, sorry, this function will be there inside every object. Okay, all right. It depends which object is calling it. If I call over here c1 dot print city details and c2 dot print city details, and if I run it, when c1 calls it, this is c1. Okay, when c1 called it, it printed the city details of c1. Out here c1 was London and this is the city details of c2. Population is different, of course, and the function over here is same. It depends which object is calling it. Whichever object will call it, it will print the details of those objects, that object particularly. I write the same line after I have written, sorry, these two lines. After I write C1 equals to C2, that means C1 and C2 both point towards the same city. And if I write it over here, then both of them were pointing towards the city Delhi at this time. And if I run it, you see that both of them are printing the details of the Delhi object. Okay, the Delhi city object. Because both of them point towards the same object. Pretty simple, it's not a big deal. Okay, but you have to understand the concept that there is just one class having two variables and one function. I can assign the variables differently to every object of this class. Okay, technically this is known as a non-static global variable. This is also non-static global variable. This is known as non-static function. What is static? Okay, what is static? Right. Uh, suppose if I have a variable like boolean is capital. Boolean can only store true or false. Okay, is it the capital city? All right, fine. Then over here you can write C1 dot is capital equals to true. You can write C2 dot is capital equals to true. Suppose whichever um, object we are creating objects of just capital cities. So we have this capital variable is capital variable which will have the same value for all the objects. Is capital over here is true. Is capital over here is also true. So this variable is capital will have the same value which is true for all the objects. Okay, right. The value of this variable will be same for all the objects. Okay, and the value will be true. So it doesn't make sense that we keep this in every object. What we do is that we make it static. When you make it static, then this variable is capital no longer remains in the object. This will remain at a common memory location, which is same for all the objects. Okay, right. It stays at a common memory location, which is shared by all the objects. If I make static, static is not the part of the object. If you look at your Java file, then you will see yellow warnings over here on these two lines. Yellow warning means that this is not the part of the object. You are not supposed to access it with C1 and C2. It's not the part of the object. To access static variables or static functions, you can directly use the class name. City.is capital equals to true. So if you write like this, it becomes true for all the objects which you are going to create. Basically, static is common for all the objects. Okay, you don't need to change it with the object references. All right, you can access it directly with the class name. I cannot access the name with the class name. Name is non-static. I cannot write city.name equals to say city A. It will give me an error. Okay, to access name, the non-static properties basically, you have to create the object. Okay, this is known as non-static global variable. Sorry, non-static, not static global variable. This can be accessed directly with the class name. Okay, and we can also have a function like public static void any function like xyz. So this is known as a static function. This is also not the part, nothing, whatever is static is not the part of the object. Static stuff can be directly called with the class name. To access the non-static, you have to create the objects and access. And for every object, you can give a different value. Static is same for all the objects. Anybody with any questions in this? Anybody with any questions? Okay, if you have any questions, then feel free to ask. All right, fine. Now, out here, this is done. Okay. Now, what happens in Selenium? In Selenium, we create the objects of internal existing classes. Okay, right. For example, I made a class city, but in Selenium, all the classes are pre-built. Everything is pre-built. Okay, right. If you look at document, let us come to Selenium now and see how the objects which we generally create in Java, they help us in Selenium. Right. So if you scroll down over here, you will see something known as WebDriver written over here. Okay. Click on this link where it will open up this page. Okay. Now these all are the driver classes in Selenium. The whole story starts from these classes. Right. Chrome driver, as the name suggests, it will be used for automating Chrome. Edge driver is for Edge. Okay. Right. There is something known as event firing WebDriver for complex actions and all. For every browser, there is a driver class. Firefox driver, Internet Explorer driver, Opera. Remote WebDriver is used in case of Selenium Grid when you have to run the test cases parallelly across different machines. Okay, you have Safari driver. So for every browser, you have a driver class. These are internal classes, and you create the objects of these classes to work with them with Selenium. Right. So let us start with Firefox. Simple. Let us start with Firefox and see how Firefox works with Selenium. Okay. And to Firefox, just a moment. You need to download. Just go to and type Gecko driver Firefox. Okay. And you will. All right. We already have jars configured in our PC. Okay. For automating Firefox, you need to download a driver for Firefox with which Firefox can be automated, or you can work with Firefox with Selenium. Okay. So you go to this link, just create a new class known as Selenium Basics. So to automate Firefox, you have to go to this link. Okay. And scroll down. You download the zip file for your operating system. I have 64-bit. I'll download this. Okay. I already have it in my system. Common drivers. You will, when you download it, you will get this exe file after extracting the Gecko driver. Okay, the zip file. Sorry, you will get this Gecko driver exe file. Don't run this. there is no use of running it. Okay, just copy the path and give the command system dot set WebDriver dot dot driver and give the path to driver.exe file on your PC. This is required to be done. You have to set few system properties. System is an internal class in Java and set property is a static function inside it. You can directly call it with the class name, and you have to, this system class is responsible for doing some system configurations in your PC, and you don't have to worry how it works. They just have exposed one function set property, and you have to write this line. And now if you create the object of the class which we saw in the documentation, which is Firefox Driver, this is the internal, you just create the object of Firefox Driver. Okay, look, Java is case sensitive. D has to be capital over here. Everything over here should be in lowercase. Sometimes people write W capital over here in the uppercase and they get stuck in errors. So please be sure you are writing the right thing. Java is a case sensitive language. Okay, right. You move the mouse over Firefox driver and you will see the option import. If you have correctly configured all the jar files as I suggested you yesterday, then you will get this option import. Okay, and now when you run the program, you will see that hold on. See, a blank Firefox browser automatically opens. So Selenium opens the browser. Okay, so it is not a big deal. You just have to know the commands. You can create the object reference Firefox driver fd equals to this. This is the reference of the Firefox driver object with which you can control the browser. You can write Firefox driver dot. There is a function known as get, which will take you to a particular URL. You can mention the URL over here, yahoo.com. Guys, one thing, please do mention the protocol HTTP, otherwise it will not work. Okay, don't just write yahoo.com. Please mention the protocol. Okay, right. So there are a lot of functions in the Firefox driver class, static functions. We will be learning about them. One of them is get, okay, which will take the browser to a certain URL, and by creating object of the Firefox driver class, you can control Firefox. You see that it is taking you to Yahoo. Okay, right. Now, there are a few things you must be aware of when using Firefox driver. Okay, firstly, don't let your Firefox itself. If you go to the tools options settings over here and search for update, okay, please select this option, check for updates, but let you choose to install them. All right, look, the Gecko driver exe which you have downloaded right now, it is supporting my Firefox. Okay, and my Firefox is of the version, hold on, 71. Okay, so right now Gecko driver is supporting 71 because this exe is responsible for creating the automation infrastructure in your Firefox browser. In very layman term, I can tell you that if you don't write this line, your program will not run. because actually the Firefox driver class uses this exe file to automate or to control the actions on Firefox driver, the browser. Okay, right. And sorry guys, just a minute. Right. So if you have 71 version, it is okay. Tomorrow, if the version 72 comes up and Jacko driver is not, this exe is not having the capability to automate Firefox, then your scripts stop working if the browser upgrades to 72 version. Okay, it might take Selenium guys or Firefox guys to update Jacko driver. It might take them 5 more days after launching 72, but in 5 days your scripts will not work. So you have to make sure that you don't upgrade your browser just like that without verifying whether the new version is working fine. Okay, otherwise it gives an error on this line only. If 72 is not supported by a Jacko driver, then the browser itself doesn't launch many times. And even if it launches, it never goes to the website. So you have to be careful about this when using Firefox. Okay, then if you have to use Chrome, hold on. If you have to use Chrome, then you need to use this class known as Chrome driver. Okay, and for you have to download an exe. You can write Chrome driver exe and just a minute. Giving me a notification, a new Firefox update is available. I am not updating it because Selenium can stop working. Okay, so you can download this, click on this link and download this zip file 32-bit for Windows or Mac. This 32-bit zip will work for 64-bit version of your machine as well. You can download it. Okay, and like I have kept it over, you can keep your Chrome driver.exe out here as well. Okay, and you can simply write system dot set property webdriver.chrome dot driver to the value of chrome driver.exe file. Everything webdriver.chrome.driver has to be there in case. Okay, right, has to be there in the lowercase. And you can write, look, in Selenium or in Java, in Eclipse, if you just write, if you have to write Chrome driver, suppose, if you just write CHR and after that you hit the control spacebar of the keyboard, control spacebar, it will give you the names of all the classes which start with this word. So it is easy to find it. Okay, as you keep on typing it, it will keep on filtering the classes as well. So if you need this class, you just select it. It will be imported by default. Okay, and you can create the object of Chrome driver like this. What are these imports? If I remove the import, I will start getting there. Look, Chrome driver class is present. It is present somewhere under the Selenium Java. To use it in my particular Java file, I have to import it. Okay, so you have to write this import command because of that. It is present somewhere in the jars. Okay, and you can write a Chrome driver dot get to http yahoo.com. Okay, so when you run this program, you will see that it goes to Yahoo. Right. Now, if your Chrome gets updated, the Chrome guys are very swift. They update the Chrome driver.exe on the online as well, online websites. You can download it, the latest version, and you can install it, or you can configure it in your Eclipse like this. Okay, the Firefox guys, they take some time to update the Gecko driver exe once the Firefox has updated. Okay, right. Now, similarly, we have drivers as well. You have Opera driver and Safari driver. These two are unstable. Most of the commands, they don't work. Okay, so we don't use them. All right. We use the Edge driver, of course, which is used to automate Edge. Okay, right. For using, you need to download the exe as well. Okay, you need to write over here Edge driver download. There the exe, the Microsoft guys, because Edge is from Microsoft. So it will actually take you to the Microsoft website. Okay, right. If you scroll down, you will see the different release versions for Edge driver. Okay, if I look at my Edge, which I hardly use on my PC. Okay, and go to settings. Okay, over here, if you go to the settings and general settings, just a minute. If you scroll down, yeah, you will see the versioning over here. Microsoft Edge HTML 18.18362, and if you look here for the release version, Edge version is 18 dot. Yeah, see that? Now these are really, really, um, you know, they have not released it for the version 18 dot something. The latest exe is for 17.1713. Okay. Out here they have written Microsoft WebDriver for Edge 18 version is a Windows feature on demand. To install, run the following command on command prompt. Actually, this is also not working. So we are waiting for a fix. Okay, this is not working. I tried it many times since it was working earlier this week for above 18, but right now it is not working. For Edge also, you need to get the web driver onto your PC through this command. Maybe in 1 or 2 days when it gets stable, I will tell you. Okay, downloads the Microsoft WebDriver exe, which I have on my PC, and it works fine. Okay, but right now it is not working fine since few days. So I will not go into this. Okay, but same. You just need to write webdriver.edge.driver and put the path. Okay, and create the object of edge driver. All right. Now you don't need to. write these lines WebDriver.Gecko.driver or Chrome.driver. This is not required actually every time. What you can do is you can keep all exe files under one path. Copy the location of the path and set it in the environment variables of your PC. Okay, you can go to your PC, you can go to the properties of your PC. All right, you can go to advanced system settings and go to environment variables. We did yesterday. You will have the path variable, edit it, create a new path and paste the path over here where you have all the drivers. If you have Windows 7 or 8, you will have a window like this. Hold on. Path. Just a minute. Get a window like this, and you just need to go to the end, put a semicolon, and give the path. Okay, restart your PC after that. So once this is in the system path, please restart it. Okay, it will work. So if I run this program, this will open both Chrome as well as Firefox. So when you run this, you will see that both Chrome as Firefox will open. You see that? Okay. So these are the two major browsers with which we work. Okay. Right. And I nobody uses it these days. All right. Edge, we will look at it in few days. I'll tell you when it's able. Okay. Now the thing is, if we have different drivers for every browser, then will we have to learn the functions in every driver class separately? Okay. There's a question which obviously comes into the mind that will we have to learn about every function in each and every driver class separately? Okay, the answer to that question is no, and it comes from the concept of interfaces, which I will talk about in coming time. Fine. Now, moving ahead. Okay, moving ahead, we will be talking about constructors as well, which is quite important in Java, and we will be talking about interfaces. Okay, so I'll be covering the concept of interfaces and constructors, and only then I will be moving ahead. This was just the basics, that how do you create the objects of existing browser or the driver classes, and how do you manage those different drivers. Okay, right. So I'm not actually teaching you Java first and Selenium. I'm going parallelly. Okay, I don't want to, you know, confuse you as well, or sometimes people directly teach Java and then Selenium. It actually not never helps. So it's better that I teach the concepts of Java and then teach the concepts of Selenium. Okay. So today I will stop over here because I don't want to go into interfaces. I need time, okay, to teach that. So we can meet tomorrow. I will mail you the recordings of today's class. Okay. And if in case you have any questions, then please let me know. Do you have any questions? Any questions? Anything regarding the course or regarding anything, you can ask me if you have any. Okay. You cannot stop auto update in Chrome driver, Maria, but whenever the update comes up, okay, whenever the update comes up in Chrome, they automatically update the exe as well. They give you immediately. um, Chrome guys, so you can download it. The Firefox guys, they take some time. Okay. And Sadhana is asking when is the class tomorrow? It is at the same time. Okay. Right. So okay then. Yeah. All right. Thank you. I'll start giving you exercises not now. After 4 to 5 classes, after at least 6 classes, I'll give you exercise.